Hello, everyone, and welcome to another special episode of A Talk with the Elementals. Today, we are actually in Hilmar, California, with Jim, the Cosmic Rod Maker, which he's off camera. But today we are in a special room that the gathering was supposed to take place, but evidently we were supposed to do this here. So, I know it had to be an elemental show because there were a lot of elementals that showed up prior to me hitting the record button today. So, we'll see who it is that wishes to talk. I know there was one in particular. Okay, yeah, Isaac's telling me he's fine. Yeah, he's just saying he's another dumbass, so I know he's fine. Okay. But he's a very abrasive energy for an elemental. He looks more like a giant, actually. And he's not like the tree giants or anything like that. This is actually very unique. I've never seen this before at all. Yes, you can speak, but I'm making sure that you have an open heart space, please. All right. Yes. Description-wise, he looks like a Viking giant. Has a little Dundreary beard going on this way. That's the split beard. He has like burnt skin, like he's been out in the sun a lot. Caucasian tone, Caucasian darker olive tone mix in there. Has gold or silver, earrings on, kind of like a whole pirate thing going on, and kind of like a smaller shirt. I don't want to see, or this might be battle armor of some sort. It's hard to see. It's very reflective. But he seems like a warrior, like almost like a large dwarf, actually, like a dwarven person, but big. The way he's situated. And yes, Isaac, I know he's a magical midget, I understand. But that's what he's called. You always say politically incorrect things, but that's okay. And I'm keeping that in too. So let's see. This guy looks like a gigantic dwarf. Like in the Infinity War movie, the dwarf was big. That's what he looks like. And so unless I'm seeing the size wrong, am I seeing your size wrong? No? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, he looks like he stepped almost like a mix between Pirate Age and Lord of the Rings. That's kind of how he's dressed. So we'll see what his name is. What's your name? Oh, in channeling. Okay, you'll give it in channeling. Okay. Ooh, you're not dense, but the energy is different. I've never encountered this type of dwarf elemental. You're an elemental for sure, elemental, and not House M. Yes. Okay. Okay, you look House M to me, but all right. Appearances can be deceiving, so okay. See what you have to say here whenever you decide you're going to do this. And yes, Isaac, I know he's slow. Yes. Greetings. These people here do not know my kind as of yet. We are a mountain-dwelling dwarven species that you would think were ogres and trolls. Unlike some of the beings you call Sasquatch or face-eater troll, some of the troll myths are about us, giants that are dwarves, if this makes sense. In our history, we were called ogres by your kind. We have the ability to transmute natural energies into viable sustenance for food. However, there are other kinds of us that slid down the pole, you would say, Though I do look like I belong in the Viking M house, this is not so. We are of the elemental code, you see. Not all elemental code are multicolored fairies and sparkles and such. Some of us do look like we have a warrior class to us, but are elementally based. We can make ourselves look like the base of a tree, a rock slide, a face. Some people see us as faces in stone. Some of us see what they want to see. Some of us are different than you humans would see us as. We sometimes speak in riddles to humans, and have in the past, as the essence of what you would call a mountainside. Your native tribes would say the rocks would sing, or the rocks would talk. Some of those myths are about us, some about other species. I can say now that in the instances and myths where rocks would have a face, those myths were about us. Our species, this one thought looked a certain way and were associated with another rock grouping associated with what you call Saturn. No. We are also nature law enforcers, just like another elemental type. We call ourselves the Copna in your language, but the others that also called themselves the Copna were also a different tribe of our kind. They do not have hair on their bodies, and they are very muscular and tall in stature. We, as I've said, are tall dwarves, least size comparison-wise to your own human bone structures. My personal name, humans would not be able to pronounce, so I will call myself a shorter version of my name. You would pronounce this as Jalesko? Jalesko is how you would pronounce this, though the name is longer. As I've said, we live in mountain caves, as do other species. So, if people think the story is repeating, your history does indeed repeat across a wide variety of elemental species, as well as other races, good and not so good. I will describe a little bit of where I came from. I bet you all were expecting me to say I came from Maldek. No. My species actually originates from right here on Earth. We were here during the times of the world of magic, when the world was whole. We evolved right here and have come from no other place but here. Though you may think that is a boring storyline, I must say that it is not, because we have actually seen your species come and go. We have seen the stances you have taken towards each other and have had taken towards you by other races. We have appeared to your kind before in such places as out in the wilderness and in mountain areas. But your kind tends to be afraid of what it does not understand, and we had to stay hidden within the cave system and eventually migrated into the inner earth This is why this one thought I looked burnt, because we near and frequent around geothermal ventings, as well as around life forms and other elementals that live within the geothermal ventings. That is another species for another time. Just know that your lava flows are full of beings made of stone. They too are rock people in your mythologies and your tribe stories, you would say. I am now open to questions.
Well, thank you for joining us, Jalesko. Really do appreciate having this conversation with you. Of the many questions, I actually am just going to start here, because you were saying that your people normally are around the geothermal ventings. So I'm going to make an assumption, and you need to correct me, that that must be extremely hot, that your skin can handle this hot, is it humid as well, this hot and humid environment?
Yes, actually it is quite hot. We can survive temperatures that humans generally cannot. Our skin and bone structure is quite resilient against these geothermal vents, as are a lot of your Draco-reptilian species and other reptilian species. It is unfortunate, but we do run into them quite frequently by passing near these geothermal vents. This is why some humans have thought us demon, because we stink of sulfur. However, as do they. But there is a distinct difference in the energy. We bring through the energy not only of the geothermal vent, making a room warmer, but we bring through a lightened energy. These other beings do not do so. They bring through a heavier energy and the stink of sulfur and wet leather. This is the difference. We pass next to them, and they do not mess with us. They actually are more subservient to our energy type. This is how we can walk through the geothermal ventings unimpeded by them. However, we cannot touch the lava like you cannot touch the lava. And here is a secret people generally do not know about the geothermal ventings. People assume that since there are geothermal ventings with lava and magma, that there cannot be an inner earth because of this. There is a layer between Agartha and your surface that is full of lava, and if people tried to go through in the wrong place, then the lava would jut forward out and cause a volcanic eruption. However, if they enter through the proper geothermal tubes, they can eventually trek downward to Agartha. Agartha is actually, as some have depicted, a series of honeycombs, you would say, but there is an interior inner earth round area. But there are a series of pathways to get there. We do have our own area that is closer to your surface, and as I've said, we live in mountains as well. There are openings to our world throughout yours, but we do use these geothermal passages to cut time off of our travel if we wish to go from one end of a continent to another. And yes, they do all meet, but they are the proverbial maze of tunnels. Humans should be wary of traveling these tunnels because, as I've said, reptilians frequent these inner tunnels, and we do know how to traverse around your military sites. We are a species they tend to ignore because we do not have any genetics they desire. Our genetics are incompatible with what other species wish to create with. This is surprising to us given our resilience to heat, but no matter, we are generally ignored by your military-industrial complex and Archontic forces, and have been for quite some time, for many millennia. However, we are not ignored if we walk the surface, because though we may seem like we look like yourselves, we are quite different in appearance. and we do not wish to cause fear amongst your masses. So our travel is largely underground and in mountainous areas.
So I'm just curious about your skill level. So in general, if you were walking on the surface, would a normal human with their normal current eyesight see you, or do you have the ability to, like in a sense, cloak yourself, or do you use a technology? How are you able to walk amongst humans now, or do you much and not be seen?
We do have the ability to cloak ourselves, technologically speaking, with armor. But as far as frequencies go, we are an even keel, you would say, with your own kind. We evolved very similarly to your own and are on a similar learning curve to your own species, very much like some of your Sasquatch races are, of an even keel, not like the ancient lines. Though we have been around just as long as your human race, we chose to stay on an even keel to not only observe but to teach. So yes, once we are amongst your kind, we can indeed take a different form, you would say holographically, because of the armor in which we wear and jewelry in which we wear can indeed cloak ourselves. And this is why he, when he detected myself, thought the energy frequency was dipped a little. No, it is because he taps into a frequency that is much higher. So therefore, anything that is of an even keel with humanity would seem lower. This is where our race stands with your kind.
Okay, so I understand that. And then I'm just curious because if I heard you correctly, I'll restate this, that you basically were saying you're from Earth, you've been here on Earth when the darkness came in to set up the farming planets. In general, your species was not looked at as being the desirable genetics that anybody wanted, so you were messed with. You didn't really speak on energy harvesting, and I am curious, did any of your race become susceptible or enslaved at all by the darkness? But my question is regarding your, since you're on the even keel, your ability to develop these technologies. Is it because much of your race just wasn't messed with, so you literally just had the time to develop it? Or were you then brought into the fold of other races that were here and they worked with you? So I'm just curious how all that came to be.
We do trade with other races periodically, but we did develop our own technology. We are largely ignored by your Archon forces and Anunnaki forces. This is an unknown mystery to us. We were not generally oppressed by them, even though they had the ability to do so. They did not have the inclination to do so. They thought of us as unperfect and not worth their genetic or energy harvesting. Therefore, we were allowed to advance a little more so technologically than humans. If humans did not have any of these dark ages around them, the technology that you would have access to would be far beyond what you currently have. When humans were out there in the galaxy, and yes, humans are the immigrants to this area, you had technology that was far beyond your wildest imaginations, you would say. We started our technological advancements a very long time ago when we were trading with other races in your system, when Maldek was still around and before the wars began and the invasions began. We still kept those technological advancements and still continued to advance them in our small and tiny pockets of the inner earth and in your mountains. We still continue to use and utilize these things. If we shared this with humanity today, you would take at least a 500-year leap in your technological know-how from where you are. Granted, the technology is much older, and what you had was far greater. than even what we had. But I digress. From your current technological standing, if we shared today what we had, and this is not a taunting, but this is a factual thing, in your scale of understanding, we are roughly 400 to 500 years apart in technological know-how. We are actually a close enough match to your own that we could help you advance these technologies once the harvester AI influence is gone. Our technologies have a certain immunity to them that the binary network and various other races cannot hijack. It is of a certain metal and shielding that is unknown to your kind. It is similar to iron and steel in appearance, but it is as light to us anyway as what aluminum would be to you. In this, it is actually quite strong, and weapons and armor can be made out of this metal. It can take two colors, gold and silver color, but it can also take a rust color on very rare occasions, depending on the forging capabilities. Your kind stumbled across this metal in your dark ages, did not know what it was or where it came from, so it was forgotten. If your kind had utilized this metal and not been afraid or not been controlled to be afraid of it, again, your technology would be far more advanced than it is today, even with this particular metal. This is not like any you've heard of, not germanium, not any of those. This is slightly different in molecular composition, but we do use this for our armor technology and what you would think of as almost like a cell phone, but it is a communicator device that is much smaller, and it fits on our collar, very much like a ranking insignia for one of your military. But it is along the collar of our clothes and can be used to communicate with. We can use this either through thought or touch.
So, just a curiosity then, you say you're on an even keel with us, and you said through thought, which leads me to believe that you either currently are and have always been telepathic, or you're developing that skill. Which is it since you said thought with the communicators?
When I said we are an even keel with humanity, I meant this. Humans are just as telepathic as we are. It has been suppressed either through bias or some form of indoctrination that these abilities are evil. But humans are an even keel telepathically with our kind. If they hear thoughts in their head, such as humanity does, people are told that they are crazy and that it is not worth looking into. But it is a natural ability of humans and always has been since before you ever even came to this system. Our people are highly telepathic and we can control technology with our thoughts. Humans will also eventually restore this particular ability, but it has also been the consensus of our kind that we think that your kind will not do away with speech, very much like other races have done and gone strictly telepathic. We believe your kind will be very much like ourselves, where you will be a mixed bag, you would say, of both speech and thought, and that this delay that you have in your thoughts will eventually be one with your heart and mind and soul, and will be able to manifest things in a way that benefits all of you. We are not saying that we have gotten this far. Just like I've said, we are on even keel with yourselves, and we are learning at the same rate your people are. Just because our technologies differ in appearance and differ in capability does not mean that we are not the same.
Okay, well, thank you. So I actually am going to ask kind of what I call a psychosocial question. So you all were here before the darkness came in. So your species, your race, has witnessed the complete and utter fall to see it come back up. So I don't know how long your lifespans are, if you would want to say in a linear fashion how long they are, but I am curious what your race has thought about all this.
It has been a sad thing to watch the human race get stunted and cloned the way your race has. We are not saying we're lucky by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to battles and wars, because we have assisted you before in your fight against these beings. But your race has the ability to live so much longer than it does. A mere 100 years is nothing. Your race has the ability to have you live in your 20s, or in appearance of your 20s, for at least 1,000 of your Earth years. Then you start aging towards more what you see now in a mere few decades. This saddens us because we have this ability. You see, we have the ability to live thousands of years and still look like we are in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, you would say. This is what humans will regain once a lot of your toxins, once a lot of your radiation, once a lot of your binary signals, and stray solar and planetary rays are gone from influencing your planet's surface, and when some of your industrial complexes are gone, meaning pollution, then you will regain this in plentiful numbers.
And so I'm going to make another assumption. Since you are breathing the same air, living in the same environment, then it must be your technology that is allowing you to filter out the harmful effects?
Yes, this is correct, or we would start to have stunting growth and aging, very much like yourselves, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to validate that. So it's kind of interesting. I'm going to ask some very detailed question now. I find it was very interesting that right before this conversation, Jim and I were sitting at the table having a conversation about this area, and he explained to me that this is kind of the breadbasket of California that produces much food for all of us. And its topography basically looks like a bowl. So you have where most of the crops are grown, surrounded by mountains around it. So I am again making an assumption that you come from the mountains around here. And you mentioned food production, that you guys kind of like to be a part of that. So I'm assuming that there must be either an opening to the inner earth or a large colony of your people grouping that is somewhere around here or within these mountains. So I'm going to ask you to comment on that, but I'm going to bring something else up to have you comment on as well. So it seems that this area went through a really horrible drought, and they use the water from the mountains and have made canals, and that's how they're able to make this basically the basket, because it's really this low humidity here. It's quite sunny all the time. It doesn't rain a tremendous amount at all, and so they bring the water in from the fall, from it coming from the mountains. They had dams. The dams were running dry. Luckily, they had some significant rainfall to kind of build things back up. But there is concern about the aquifers and damage from the years of drought. So besides talking about your presence around here, I am curious about the concern about the damage to aquifers around here. Do you know about that?
Yes, indeed. It was your own governmental forces that incurred this particular drought with the weather control technology given to them by these dark Anunnaki forces and other races. We aided in bringing water back to this area because we too rely on a water source. Not that it was just for us in particular, but we do help out in ways such as this. Our own people did get directly involved in this because we knew this breadbasket, you call it, was crucial to your human survival. We saw the plans that these government people were making on behalf of others they do not even know why they serve. This means these other beings require a dry environment, arid environment, nuclear radiated environment to be able to walk the surface of your world, like in the old war times. So first comes the drought, then comes the radiation. Because if they applied the radiation first, plants would grow larger. And yes, humans do adapt to those environments as well. Some humans were larger at one time and could contend more with some of these other races physically. The reason for some of the growth stunting is what I aforementioned. But in this area, this is a special area for aquifers, you would say. There is an underground water system that intersects a geothermal venting. You would call it a volcanic vent that allows a certain set of mineral deposits to feed your plant life. This was the thing that these beings were also trying to destroy. This enriches the soil and has high pollution resistance. However, us and a variety of good humans and inner earthers decided that we would interfere to change their plans. In this, we were able to bring rain back to the area. You see, this is all of our world as well, and we do not wish it to be destroyed by an old enemy, along with your lives on the surface, because one day we wish to walk again with you out on the surface. Yes, we do enforce nature. Yes, we do a variety of other things and are blamed for a variety of other things about your kind in mythology. But in this, I must say that we do help out on occasion, and we do look forward to being with humans again. And yes, we do on occasion walk near you, and especially in these lands. You see, you would call it a governing ship. We do live in some of these local mountains, along with other Sasquatch beings, you would call them, and other dwarf and elven type races. And they were also the ones that helped out bring the rains. There are cases where areas are made to be dry to get rid of the local vegetation, because these archontic beings prefer no foreign vegetation, since they used certain types of plant DNA to augment themselves. These plants have since gone extinct. Therefore, any modern day plants that have a resistance against their poisons, or animals that have a resistance against their poisons, will cause an allergic reaction with them themselves. This is a reason in some areas they wish places of drought so they can burn them dry. You would say your cabal's reasoning is for what they believe is domination and control of the food and water to thin populations, but they are actually working for these other beings that wish to make the areas dry so that they can walk around on the surface as your deities. This is not something that is going to be tolerated nor accepted by us.
Thank you. So I think hopefully that gives a little reassurance to people around here that your intent, along with other benevolence out there, is that this area will stay a breadbasket and be watched out for. So that's nice to know. I know we've been speaking for a while, and in all honesty, the only other type of question, and I don't know if you have taken on, sometimes some of the beings, they seem to specialize in certain areas. So I know it sounds like you like protecting the foods and where people are growing foods as a specific job, I guess I could say, as far as helping yourselves, but helping humanity and helping this world turn. Is there anything else in particular that you all have championed in these new energies to help bring about? I'm just curious. And then any final words you'd like to say?
What we have championed, you'd say, yes, food growth, that is one of them, but also sometimes in your homeopathic medicines as well, you would say we have been known to know alchemy in both metal and pharmaceutical, you would say, or medicine. We are helping in certain ways for plants to grow so that your bad guys, you would say, cannot control these particular pharmaceuticals. We wish for this to stop being controlled, so we work here also in metal alchemies to create new structures for people. We have also this metal that we spoke of. It can also be grown and forged. Since it is an ore, it can be grown. So therefore, we can make it so that it can spread on your surface to be used in an ore type form, very much like your iron ore. Its appearance, as I've said before, looks very much like your steel and iron and aluminum in weight. We are helping out in the metallurgical sciences in this way. So, to end this off, I will say this to everyone here. Blessings from my kind, the Copna, and there are two kinds, as I've said, ones that are bald and that wear very little, and they are more of a belligerent nature, and ones that are like myself, very much like your mythical dwarves, but we are not related to their kind, though we do enter into metallurgy and plant alchemies very much like themselves. So that is a difference I wish to say. Just know that we are championing your kind in this next age, though we will not save your kind, very much like other races have said. We will stand with you in a time of need when it arises. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a very enjoyable conversation.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
Thank you, Jalasco. And in case that we decide to work together someday on a new metal with your folks, may we call it Sir Isaacanium?
His kind would take credit for such an invention, though they are not very technologically advanced species. They are more of a, you would say, dung beetle species. They exist in your inner earth in clusters of people. They do have some technology, but ours happens to be of a greater gradient, but we do not care if it is named after them, no.
Okay, well, we'll work on that, Betty. Thank you for stopping in today. Thank you very much.
Thank you as such, yes. Oy.
I know.
He was laughing when you said that, so we were, so they do have a sense of humor. They're they're kind of very similar to the M-House Vikings in their own way. The M-House Vikings are a little more like Klingons from Star Trek, but these guys, they're a little more muted, but they do have a sense of humor. So that's the kind of thing they want. That's the kind of thing they want back and forth. But humans have been afraid of them when they found them. But you know, so.
You said your name, I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go. We got an opportunity. We got an opportunity.
And they knew Isaac was sitting right here, so they figured they couldn't resist making fun of the ant people. So it was
That
like
worked out quite well.
Yeah, they find that joking funny. They want that. So yeah, so that's good. Oh, okay. Yeah, he was a very easy channel, but he started to get it started to get harder towards the end because he knows some waves were coming our way. That's why he's starting to stammer a little bit. He could feel that the same way we could because they're on a genetic kind of even keel with us, or brainwave wise and everything. They're on more of an even keel with us.
Well, I really appreciate you, John, bringing up the breadbasket such value here, because someday I'll get to point this audio video to some local folks and let them be rest assured that we have some wonderful people working to keep things going.
This was no accident. I mean, when he first came in, and it's kind of interesting because you may not realize this. Chris was doing something else when Jim and I were talking. So Chris was not a part of the conversation talking about the drought, the breadbasket, or anything like that. But when Jalaska came in, he made a point to say they were championing the food. So I don't think it was an accident.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to come in because I know giving you a little bit of reassurance was good.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, folks, this was a good show today. So we conclude this episode of a talk with the elementals. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.